Good evening, Yorktown, and welcome to the Town Board work session for December 28th, 2021. I hope everyone enjoyed a wonderful Christmas. If everyone could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if everyone could please join me in a moment of silence as we keep in our thoughts and prayers all of our frontline workers who continue to work during this holiday season to keep us all safe and healthy. We especially keep all of our hospital workers, our doctors, our nurses, all of our healthcare workers at our local pharmacies and urgent care centers in our thoughts and prayers. We also want to keep in our thoughts and prayers all of our first responders who continue to work during this holiday season, our police, fire, and ambulance. And of course, the bravest men and women the world has ever known, those serving in the United States Armed Forces who continue to protect our freedoms during this holiday season and can't be home with their families. Thank you.
Amen.
I also want to, I said Merry Christmas, and also Happy Kwanzaa. It's the third night of Kwanzaa.
Oh, yes.
For those celebrating, Happy Kwanzaa as well. Introductions quickly. So I'm just going to go around as I see on the screen. Supervisor Matt Slater, joined by Councilman Tom Diana, Councilwoman Alice Roker, Councilman Ed Lachterman. We have with us our Town Clerk Diana Quast and our Town Attorney Adam Rodriguez. Councilman Patel is not with us tonight. We wish him the best, a happy new year. We thank him for his service to our community, years of service to our community, and wish him and his family well in this next chapter. Just a couple of announcements to make. We're going to jump right into COVID. We had Derek Anderson, Executive Director of Northern Westchester Hospital, on for a COVID update earlier today. It was a great conversation that really, I thought, pinpointed not the severity that we're dealing with of the high cases and how transmissible the Omicron variant is becoming, but also the positive news. And there is positive news, starting with the fact that we are now seeing they're going to have some more treatments that would have been approved by the FDA released to our local hospitals, including the Pfizer pill that has an 88% effectiveness, which is amazing. And so when you look at just how much we've been able to accomplish in such a short period of time, from developing a vaccine now to adding 2 more treatments, and now it's 3 treatments if you include the monoclonal antidote treatment. It's just simply astounding and really a great tribute to the incredible research that we've seen in such a short period of time. And so I know that there's a lot of folks who are scared. I know there's a lot of folks who are just stressed out and just completely nervous about what the next phase is going to be here. But no, there's good things coming. I mean, we've seen the hospitalization rates they're not at the same levels they were this time last year. We know that the active caseload is much higher there than where we were. But that's also proof of the vaccine and the vaccine working and being the best weapon that we have. To that end, we had our 64th vaccine clinic here in the town of Yorktown today. We provided boosters to more than 90 individuals. Our next clinic or booster, I'm going to say next vaccine clinic, is January 4th at the John C. Hart Memorial Library. All the information is on the town's website. You can sign up to receive your first vaccine shot if you haven't received one yet. We're now working with our partners, Save More Pharmacy out of Croton, to start the vaccine process for people who have decided that they want the vaccine, but also for your booster. And so you can choose which vaccine you want. If you're getting your booster, which booster you want, but just really important, again, that we continue to provide this service locally to the town of Yorktown. On January 6th, we're going to be back at the Capellini Center. Same process. It's a vaccine clinic. You can start your first round of vaccines or receive a booster if you haven't done so yet. I know testing is a huge concern, and it's really stressing our local healthcare system. And I can tell you that I've been speaking directly with Senator Pete Harcum, directly with our county executive, George Latimer, his team, several of his commissioners, deputy commissioners, chief of staff. We all recognize the importance that FDR Park the role that it can play in providing additional testing. And so we are working diligently and collectively to advocate to the state to open a regional drive-through testing site at FDR Park. It is quite the logistical requirements are incredible. I can tell you that, going through this process with them, but we are working hard to try to get this done again, because we know that the testing demand is so high. Just 2 points also on the testing. Westchester County has opened the county center for testing. The link to make your appointment, it's appointment only. The link to make an appointment for a COVID-19 test at the county center, which starts tomorrow, is on the town's website, the COVID-19 Community Impact Dashboard. Additionally, as we learned today from Derek Anderson of Northern Westchester Hospital, they are increasing testing capacity at their site at the old Reader's Digest facility right in Chappaqua off the Sawmill River Parkway. That link will also be added to the town's COVID-19 Impact Dashboard, so we continue to provide these services to the residents. Again, both the county center and the Chappaqua site from Northwell are appointment only. You cannot just walk up. They are appointment only, so you can register online and be tested. But I think everybody, every level of government and healthcare as well, is recognizing the significant demand for testing, and we're working collaboratively and collectively to try to provide as many options as we can. I just also wanted to add that for our businesses, we did receive, or tomorrow we'll be receiving, a shipment of KN95 masks courtesy of Westchester County. We are going to provide those to our businesses. There is a portal on the COVID-19 Impact Dashboard. So any business that's looking for these masks, if you can just request it right on the website, and we will do our best to accommodate. Obviously, it's going to depend on the size of the supply that we receive from Westchester County, but we thought this was an important step for us to take to try to make sure that we provide all the resources we can to help our small businesses who are struggling right now through a very difficult time. And lastly, I just wanted to once again thank, as we said earlier, Councilman Patel is not here, but we do have Councilwoman Roker with us. And I did want to just personally thank her for her service to our community. This is unfortunately her last town board meeting. But again, on behalf of our entire community, thank you for all you've done, both in your role as town clerk and town councilwoman. I know we recognized you a couple weeks back, but I just wanted to once again tell you just how deeply appreciate I am of your friendship and your mentorship. It's been so great to work with you, and I appreciate the partnership that we've created. And I'm looking forward to your next role here in the town. And I'm very excited for that to begin. And I'm looking forward to continuing our work together as we work to preserve more of the historical integrity of our community. So to Alice, thank you so much, and best of luck in that next chapter.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
That ends my announcements. I'm going to just see if any other board members want to just have anything they want to add.
Just real quick, Alice, thank you so much for your service here.
Thank you, Tommy.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Learned a lot from you, and I'm sure I'm going to continue to learn from you. And we can always have our little laughs that we always have together.
Yeah, we did.
Good luck. Good luck, and thank you.
Thank you.
And I will just echo that sentiment, Alice.
Thanks, Ed.
You know, it's been a great 4 years working with you on the board.
Well, you'll all know that I started talking to Diana today about how we're going to deal with the history of the town, and really I'll be working up in the museum for a little bit, and just to get that, just to make sure that all of the state requirements on us have been that we've adhered to them, and that'll be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it.
And we know that you're going to be able to meet that challenge. So thank you again for taking that on and all you've done for the town. We do have a couple of work session items and then some resolutions that we want to get onto. So we're going to start with Susan Raybold, who has been working with us on the wireless master plan. This is, as we all remember, we actually, working with Susan, put forward a study that Yorktown actually was the top participant in that study. It asks a whole bunch of questions regarding cell phone capacity, cell phone service, and some preferences in regards to towers and wireless infrastructure. And so Susan is here to report on the results of that study and provide next steps. And I'm trying to continue to stall while we wait for Susan to appear on the screen. Right, Diana? There she is.
Hello.
Hi,
I'm
Susan.
here. Hello.
How are you?
Hello. I'm good. Thank you very much for having me this evening and the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your holiday week. We appreciate it.
And not at all. Not a problem. I was listening. There's a delay between your video broadcast and your Zoom meeting. So I was listening to the meeting, waiting for you to call me. And next thing I knew, you had me up there. So I apologize. Let me, let's see. I want to share my screen to get to the presentation. Give me just a moment. There we go. Great. And awesome. All right. So the last time that we met, I discussed with you the number of sites. We went over some propagation studies. And what I'm going to discuss with you tonight are the next steps that we've taken since we last met, which is the poll and the results of the poll and how that could influence perhaps changes you want to look at in your zoning. Just to refresh your memory, there are 95 total sites in the wireless study area, which includes the all of the communities within the town of Yorktown. And in your study area, you have 26 personal wireless service facilities, and this is your map. We did the poll to get information from the community regarding their thoughts and concerns about the preferences of wireless infrastructure that they would like to see in the future, and then the gaps that we identified in our maps. You opened your poll on September 23rd. It was open just over a month. We closed it on October the 25th. And there were 23 questions, and you had 929 respondents in total to the poll, which is outstanding. You had a great response. And I want to walk through those responses now. So if you have any questions along the way, be sure and ask. Give me just a moment to get to the responses. All right. So can you see the screen okay with the?
No, it's still the map. It didn't go over to the responses.
Oh, okay. You know what? Then I'll have to close and screen share again. I bet that was the problem. Okay, great. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. So the first part was to get a little information about the person who is answering the poll. They could either answer the questions on behalf of themselves or on behalf of their household. And most of the respondents were answering on behalf of themselves. And then we wanted to know if they lived and worked inside of the community, or did they live in the community, work outside. Most of yours that responded, 57.9%, indicated that they live and work inside of the town year-round. The answer with regards to why or how do they use their personal wireless services, and they could click and check all that apply. You had a vast majority, 93.8, indicated for personal and recreation leisure, which is not uncommon because so many people do rely on their handsets now to listen to music, to stream pictures and share pictures, and to communicate with the family, play some games. But you also had a large percentage, 66.6%, 906 619 indicate that they do use their phones for employment-related purposes. And then your next largest category of users indicated 47% that they are using their phones for their as a smart device, such as home security systems and other smart devices that they have in their homes. You'll get a copy of this, so I'm not going to go through your 920 responses with regards to where people were residing. I mostly want to focus on the responses that they have. Your largest subscriber population is to Verizon. You have 61.4% of those who participated in the poll identifying that they use Verizon as their primary wireless service, followed by AT&T and then the T-Mobile and Sprint Verizon. And you have a large variety of different options that people are using with regards to their track phones and other services, but the largest is Verizon. Now, you did have 925 respondents that indicated how many actual devices they're using in their household. And I'm going to come back to this, but that question was in there, and there was a huge range of responses from 0 to into the 20s. And your average, I believe, was just over 6. So the average of all those was about 6.5 devices per household. You had a question with regards to people using a booster to enhance their wireless service. And in Yorktown, 60.7% said no, they're not using a booster. With regards to where they reside, we asked them to identify on a various scale how they would rate their network coverage. If it was excellent, meaning that they had 5 bars indoors and that they never lost service, that was blue. And as you can tell, only 5.5% indicated that they have excellent coverage where they reside. The majority of them identified that they had poor coverage, meaning 1 bar service where they reside, 45.2%. Then we asked them the next question with regards to where they work. And here your excellent improves a little bit to 11.2%. Interesting enough, you have 34.2% say it's not applicable. Now, I have a theory as to why so many people are indicating it was not applicable. Maybe they're not working in an office setting right now because of the pandemic. So where they reside and where they work could be the same, or it could be that they're not working right now because of the pandemic, or it could be that they work outside of the community and so they didn't. So you have a not applicable, but you do have a higher acceptable rate for people where they work. But it's still your highest number outside of not applicable is poor. When you travel around the community, again, only 4.1%, very low percentage of the community indicates that they have excellent service while they travel around Yorktown. But you did get a 3, your number, your highest is acceptable. So that's a good thing in the sense that at least along the corridors, maybe those that are the most heavily trafficked, you're getting acceptable. Now, if people had better service, we wanted to know, would they rely more on their device? And 67% entirely agreed that they would. And when asked, is the quality of service important to those filling out the poll, 92.6% agreed entirely that it was. So we move into the next set of questions, which is about the aesthetics and the location. We want to know what is most important to those who are responding, because if their coverage in where they reside is poor, if it's not so good where they work, and it's important to them to have excellent connectivity, where do we find the balance between being able to bring new infrastructure in? So with regards to aesthetics and location, we ask what is most important to you. And the choices were excellent connectivity, aesthetics, good connectivity and minimal visual impact, and willing to tolerate worse service for less infrastructure. And the number one response was 69.7% for excellent connectivity, followed by wanting good connectivity with minimal visual impact at 28.2%. You have a very small percentage, 1.7, saying that they would be willing to tolerate less infrastructure. And no one identified aesthetics as being what was most important to them in that question. In looking at taller towers being the backbone of the network and allowing for more co-location versus shorter towers where you wouldn't have as many co-location opportunities, resulting in perhaps more towers in the same geographic area. We wanted to know what the threshold was, what were people willing to tolerate, and 47.1% identified that they would be willing to support taller facilities to have multiple co-locations versus shorter, but potentially more. But you did have 28.6% say that there was no preference. With regards to your non-concealed types of facilities, the monopole was the type of non-concealed structure that was most preferred with 68.8%. The interesting, you had 14% that indicated that they didn't like any of the above, which means to me that you have 14% that do not prefer non-concealed structures. And then of those that are left, 68% prefer the monopole. And with regards to the type of concealed macro cell that they prefer, the flagpole was the highest, most preferred type of infrastructure at 75%, followed by the monopine at 57.9%, followed by perhaps like a bell tower, the unipole that doesn't have any. But here, where none of the above, you only had 1.6%. So you have more people, again, supporting the use of a concealed type of facility. And of that, just to recap, the flagpole was the most preferred. With regards to the base station, and that's when they attach the antenna onto an existing structure other than a tower, the most preferred was a rooftop concealed at 76.1%. And then the semi-concealed and the rooftop non-concealed was the least favored. And with regards to the small wireless facilities, overwhelmingly, you have 90.7% of those polled that would prefer to see those concealed versus non-concealed. Only 10% said that they would prefer the non-concealed. With regards to supporting a new tower over a base station, you had 465 say they preferred towers, 433 prefer the base station as the first choice. So it's really very close. So most people, I mean, it's just so close. The first choice would be a tower and then a base station. Second choice, tower, or a base station and then a tower. And with regards to supporting the location of where they go on town property, school board property, or quasi-judicial types of properties, you have 67.1% saying that they would support a tower or base station anywhere in the town. And then we asked, this a clarifying question, what if it were somewhere, in your neighborhood, and you had 21% that said basically anywhere but my neighborhood. So it was interesting to me that you had so much support to see the infrastructure pretty much go anywhere. There's a strong desire to have improved coverage, even if it does go somewhere in the vicinity of some of the residential areas. And with regards to the use of town property, we wanted to know, is there support for town property? And there is. And what was the most important decision driving that support? Was it revenue to the town? Was it controlling the aesthetics? Is it both or neither? And your majority is both 56.7%, identifying that it's both the revenue and the controlling of the aesthetics and the maintenance of the facility that they support, as to why they support using town-owned, school board, or quasi-public properties. And then there were an additional 220 responses. A lot of them were really saying that they really want to have the coverage. They're tired of having coverage that's not constant, and that they want to see improvements made to the network. And so that takes me into the next part of the presentation. I'm going to need to stop sharing, go back to the actual presentation if I can find it. There we go. Because the next slide is a summary, and I can. Did I lose the summary?
No, it's there. We're seeing it.
Okay, but I bet. Let me try. I'm gonna have to stop sharing again and go. I have these. I put in links so that it would take me right to these larger views of these images. So there we go. So just as a recap, you have your gap map that we showed you,
right,
that has the areas where there's no coloration, where you probably have significant loss of coverage and capacity. And then in these areas that are red, even though you have coverage, because you have large numbers of your population in those areas, there's not enough infrastructure to service the number of people living or working or traveling through these areas to have a solid network. So we talked about this the last time, and in looking at where your answers fell within the larger study area, you can see that, like I said, you had 929 participants, and there were 2,872 that participated throughout the study area. And as I indicated, you had 93.8% saying they used their device for personal recreation, leisure study, or leisure purposes, and 84% in the larger study area. So I'm not going to go through these for sake of time, but you'll have the opportunity after the presentation to go through and see how the responses in your jurisdiction compared to the overall responses collectively from everyone. But one of the concerns that we have from a zoning perspective with regards to getting into these areas is that your ordinance is pretty basic, and it does not address a lot of the newer standards that have been brought in through the Federal Code of Regulation. And so one of the first things that we would recommend is that your definitions in your shot clock be made consistent with the federal code. And your ordinance right now doesn't have any provisions for small wireless facilities. And there is very little with regards to a hierarchy indicating what your preferences are. One of the things that you can do when you go to look at restructuring your ordinance is to look at the preferences that I just spoke with. Mm-hmm. And if the community supports, say, for example, the use of the monopole, you could virtually put that in there that you only want to see monopoles in the future. Right. And so you take all this information, you build it into your code so that as you fill in the gaps, you get the type of infrastructure that the community said they would support in the code. There are two areas in your code that we want to bring your attention to with regards to this particular section 300.59.e subsection O. The frequency module, when an applicant comes in to request a new site, they have to provide you the frequency modulation and class of service of the wireless communication facility. And actually, modulation refers really to broadcast frequencies, not wireless. And so that term doesn't quite apply. So that's an area that we think you need to be sure and address. And then the federal government is very clear about making sure that local government does not appear to have the effect of regulating the emissions, because they are very very clear in their code of regulations that they are the ones that regulate. And your section 30.59F requires this annual testing and an immediate revocation if there's a problem found. And that's contrary to the process that the FCC has in place. Right now, the FCC has in place that if there's a problem found, then they fix it and it's not a revocation. And we're concerned that this could open up a challenge if the industry really wanted to, because it's so close to regulating emissions versus following the code that is in place by the federal government should there be a problem. So it needs to match. So I know that's a lot of information. Trying to keep it to 20, 30 minutes presentation, but I will send this over to you.
No, this is great.
Okay, good. You can go through the poll at your leisure with more time to look at all the responses, all the comments, look at, what the preferences are compared to your ordinance. And you're the first ones to have your presentation.
Awesome.
The other ones, yes, the others will probably, yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate your promptness and wanting to tackle this next step. What we'll do next is we'll make a similar presentation specific to the other communities. After we finish that, we'll put it all into a written document and we'll provide it to you. And then you'll have your own, it'll be a large study followed by each appendix with each individual community. So you'll have your own maps, your own analysis that you can take and then run with it with regards to your future code.
Susan, this is great. And taking the time to go through the study, because I sometimes you hear, and I hear it anecdotally, but I really think that having the study really helps us and really provides direction for town government as to what the needs and desires are of our community. And so anecdotally you hear, and I'm one of them, I think Alice, you're one of them too, by our neighborhood. We're driving, I'm sure I'm coming up to that corner, I'm going to lose you. Let me hang up. And we hear from a lot of people. But to get that type of survey completed and done, I think really helps us make that step possible. And now we understand, at least from those who participated, what their preferences are, desires are, and there's clearly a need for us to tackle this. And so I really do appreciate your efforts here, and also providing how we can update the code, which is something that we can tackle hopefully next year to make it so again, modern with the times, right? I mean, we have to modernize our code so that it reflects current technology and current standards. It just makes perfect sense. So this has been a great exercise, and I know our residents really do appreciate the fact that we are acknowledging that there's an issue with capacity. Yep. And that we're trying to figure out, okay, well, from a local government standpoint, what can we do? And so all of this has been, I think, very well received by our community.
Great. All right. Well, I am open to, if you have any other questions after your meeting or after you get all your information, if you want to go through it in more detail, let me know. But thank you for the opportunity. And if there are no other questions, I will conclude the presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Really,
Okay,
really do appreciate it, Susan. Thanks for taking your time and a happy new year. Thank you.
Happy New Year to you all as well. Goodbye.
Happy New Year.
Take care
Thank
now.
you.
All right.
You know,
Well, that
it
was
really is a
really
great study.
yeah.
I have forever thought I was the only person who has to walk outside of my house to go talk on my phone on my
No,
cell.
I'm out there with you. I'm out in my
No.
backyard. I had to get a booster to be able to talk inside. I mean, it's wild, absolutely wild.
Well, I'm not even going to ask what a booster is because I have no idea about stuff like that.
It's okay, but if you need one, we can get you one.
Okay.
All right. So next we're going to go. We've got proposed legislation. We're just trying to clean up a couple of things here at the end of the year, but we did have we're joined by Jim Moderano, our Parks and Rec superintendent, who's been working with us. This was an issue that was brought up by Jim, also by Councilman Lachterman, who talked about experiencing in different communities, neighboring communities, the ability for certain parks to allow alcohol for specific events. And so we've worked collaboratively with our legal department and Jim Moderano to craft legislation. I don't know, Adam or Jim, do you want to discuss the specifics?
Happy to. I don't see Jim is here. I'm happy to do it. I mean, it's a simple amendment to Chapter 108. There's a typo which I've fixed in the draft local law in 108-7A. It references Section 28-9, but it really means 108-9. So the first thing we'll do is fix that, but then we also amend 108-8E to specify that alcohol can be possessed and consumed and sold on specific parks. That's basically it in a nutshell.
You want to explain your term "sold" to the public?
Sure. So right now it's prohibited at any town park, but what the proposed local law would do would allow residents. Well, first of all, everyone would have to get a permit before this happens.
Right. It's not a free for all.
Yeah. But if you got a permit, if the local law were to pass as drafted, you could apply for a permit to possess and consume alcohol at the Downing Park Pavilion and the Sparkle Lake Service Building, and you could also apply to possess, consume, and sell alcohol at the Par 3 golf course and Railroad Park.
Those are the exact four. Yep.
Only four. That's the only places you're going to be allowed to do this, and a permit is required.
And sale would only be included in two of the four, which would be Railroad Park and the Par 3 golf course.
Par 3 golf course, right? So you can't set up a bar and sell alcohol at the service building in Sparkle Lake.
No, absolutely not.
Right.
So
Well, you're not going to set up a bar at Railroad Park. I think you probably in conjunction with an event. Is that what you're?
No, exactly.
A beer garden of sorts.
We've had over the years, you've had the San Gennaro Feast that's either wanted to or has or whatever utilized Railroad Park as a beer garden. So by amending this law, it would allow that type of event to utilize Railroad Park in a beer garden type setting. We could also utilize it. One of the things that
farmers market.
A farmer's market, you could, right? Because if you wanted to sell alcohol and you wanted to have a farmer's market there, you could. We've also talked about doing like dinner in the park or having some type of shows, and that allows alcoholic beverages to be possessed, but also to be sold. And of course, it's going to require the applicant to also get the necessary permitting from the state liquor authority to be able to do that anyway. So you need a permit from the state. You're going to need a permit from us here locally. In those very specific areas. Also with Par 3, this is part of their business model. Obviously, they are going to have a clubhouse. They are going to serve food. They would like to also be able to serve alcoholic beverages. To be able to carve them out to make sure that, because again, the Par 3 is town park land, it allows them the ability to do that as well.
I'm just going to ask you to consider at some point Patriot Park. Because that is a location, I believe, that's kind of that diamond in the rough that someday you guys might want to tap and do events there.
Couldn't agree more. I think that'd be a great spot, but I think this is a good first step. And then
Yep.
As we always say, if we find a shortfall or we find a reason to enhance it, we can always come back and add it as an amendment to the law. So we do have that flexibility, but I think this is a good first step for us to take with these four areas. Any questions from the board? Any input, comments? Do we want to make a motion to refer out the legislation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to have it referred out. I think that's a great idea.
Second.
Let's move it forward.
Oh, great. We have a first, a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll have the clerk refer it out to all agencies, and we can begin that process. Fantastic.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate your help on that and your leadership on that.
Happy holidays, Jim.
Well,
Thank you.
Jim, don't go anywhere.
Staying on.
Yeah, stay on for this next one. So we have we want to have a conversation about the playground up at Granite Knolls. I don't if we have. Great. We've got Anna, and do we have Jamie joining us as well?
Yeah, she's on there.
Yep.
Am I not? Up there she is. Perfect. Great. There's Jamie.
There's Jamie. Hi, Jamie.
Hello, Jamie. Hello, Anna.
Hi, guys.
Hello, ladies.
How are you? Happy New Year.
Hi, Anna.
Hi. Hope we're finding you guys on the heels of a good holiday weekend.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying. We're trying. We're trying.
Good
So-
to see
We wanted to just
Good evening
close the
now.
loop on the Granite Knolls inclusive playground. So just to update the board and the public, we have started to receive some pieces of the playground up at Granite Knolls, which is great. We've met with Ray Michaels, who's going to be installing the playground itself because of the winter weather. He's unable to install it because of the rubber matting that's going to be included. He can't do it with it being so cold. So what timing looks like, it's going to be a spring installation. Right now, roughly, we're looking at the mid to end March, depending on the weather. That's what's going to dictate when we're going to be able to do that. So that gives us about 3 months to take the next steps that we want. We did hear from the commission. The commission clearly wanted a fence to be included, which we understand and respect. Working with and hearing from both Jamie and Anna, understanding again from their perspective as parents and advocates of children with special needs, it would be good to incorporate some different aspects into the fence. Mostly the idea of putting planters into the fence area. So one of the things that we've talked about, Jamie, and just feel free to jump in at any point in time and correct me if I'm wrong. So the way that where we're at now, you've got a not-for-profit that you're working through that's going to be able to fund the creation of the planters, correct?
Yes, correct.
And also we talked about having you pay for the installation of the planters as well as the fence. The town will purchase the fence and the components for the gate. So it's a bit of a public-private partnership here where we're working together. So this way, did everyone just freeze?
I hear you.
For half a second.
Maybe I did. That was
Yeah, so it
weird
was
when you
the
look up and
agreement.
you're talking away and everyone's just kind of staring at you with this weird look. Anyway.
It was
but
the
Jamie,
idea.
is that correct? Is that how we left off?
Yeah, so how we left off is that we would pick up the tab for the installation of the fencing itself, obviously along with the cost of the planters and the plants that go in it. And then the town would be responsible for purchasing the materials for the fence, the gates, along with the mechanisms that would attach the fencing to the planters themselves.
Correct.
Yes.
And so that's where we left off. And so again, we'll be able to provide a safe place for all of our children of all abilities, which I think is amazing to be able
Me
to
too.
go and enjoy and be outside, but and also make sure that we have the safety components in place, but also do it in a very, I think, understanding way. So I just wanted to update the board and to make sure we're all on the same page here, because like I said, we're looking at a March. We got about, like I said, 3 months to put this together and get the material in so that it can be, again, when we spoke with Ray Michaels, have the fence being installed while the playground is being installed, So it's going to be done all together at once. So this because Ray, who's going to be installing the playground, wants to be there to manage the installation of the fence, which makes a heck of a lot of sense to me.
Yes, and the contractor who is doing the installation of the fence and the planters has agreed and committed himself to be up there for 4 to 5 weeks to make sure that he's there to put the fence in tandem with the flooring.
It's a great thing.
Can I just say how? Can I just say how absolutely impressed I am with Anna and Jamie? They had this idea, and there were times when the idea went sideways, but thank God you were able to get it to where everyone is comfortable, the rec department as well. I think this will be, for me, I am so proud that we are moving toward giving kids with disabilities a place they can pull their own. Everybody obviously can use it, but here, I just look at it as a mother of a young kid. For a couple of seconds, you can take a breath and let that kid roam through the garden that will be attached to the playground. I am so thrilled that everything has come, and all the discussions that have been taking place, that we finally came to a final outcome. And I'm very proud of both the town and your committee, Jamie. And now you have the ability to go out and start fundraising for these planters.
Well, that's what I hope. I mean, I hope we're here to decide that, because there has absolutely been a lot of discussions and a lot of work and time. And we really tried to do the best we could to, compromise and meet everybody's concerns about safety, while also meeting the concerns that, or I should say, just addressing the fact that there are children who are going to use this playground where the containment area can be double purpose and beneficial. So I'm excited if that's the direction we're moving in.
Yes. Absolutely. This is an exciting night as far as I'm concerned.
It is. We are.
I'm excited that we all basically resolved, together. I speak on behalf of a lot of families who reached out to me, and they kept on asking me, when are we doing this? When are we doing this? When are we doing this? And, it comes a point in time where you just almost feel like you've been defeated and it's never going to happen. And to give them this news, is so joyous. We were able as adults to come to a resolution, put something together that's going to be just dynamic. Dynamic, not in a small. It's going to be amazing, and I hope we don't, the hurdles that we're going to go through. I hope they're not going to be as difficult.
Okay. You ladies have been an absolute pleasure as far as I'm concerned. I know that maybe other people have said other things, but I'm not.
There's probably been worse.
You guys are an absolute pleasure as far as I'm concerned. This is going to be a wonderful private-public partnership and we talk about the playground. We're talking about phase 1 here, folks.
Yes.
There's going to be 2 phases. The next phase is going to be that I just lost it.
Sensory garden.
No.
Sensory garden.
The sensory garden. I'm sorry. That, it not only serves the handicapped community, it serves the seniors in the community. It will serve the veterans. And when I say handicap, there's different forms of handicap. It's not just be it you can't move around or it's
special needs is
special needs. Yeah. And even PTSD for guys and gals coming back from serving our country. It's a place for them to go and reflect, read a book, pull out the phone, read the newspaper, have a cup of coffee. This is really a good project. It's an all-inclusive project. Ladies, I can't thank you enough for your...
Thank you enough.
Oh, no.
Right. We thank you all.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that we should just resolve this and move it on down the road. What do you think, Supervisor?
Okay, I have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Jimmy, what do you got?
Here we go.
Jimmy, what do you got? No. Jimmy, what do you got for us, Jim?
Okay, not sure what that reaction was about. I'm not sure if I missed it, but what's the name of the organization? You might have mentioned it.
SEPTA?
Are you
And
doing
we're
this through
working with the
SEPTA,
local
Jamie?
SEPTAs. We're doing it through SEPTA, and we're looking at incorporating into our own non-for-profit.
Okay, great. And your not-for-profit, is there a name for that or no?
We haven't resolved one yet, but Anna and I are discussing it. So we're trying to move forward with making that decision and then incorporating it.
Right.
Once
we get the go ahead to move forward, we will update you on all of the information that we put together from this point forward. But we're not going to move forward until we know our timing.
I think and I think, if I may, what the board is telling you is to move forward. That the board is supportive. That the board is committed to doing our part. Which again, as we discussed, right, Jamie? It's the fence, it's the gate, and it's the connecting pieces to said for the fence and to the planters. And then you take care of the planters, and you take care of the full installation. So that's, I think, what the and I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but from what I'm seeing here. Is what I think the majority of the board wants to see done and wants to see you move forward. And so we're ready to go. We want to have this thing. Again, we know that March 15th is kind of the date that we're circling on the calendar. So we'd like to have everything in place, ready to go. No, March 17th. St. Pat.
St. Pat's. I actually am really hoping that this gets up and running in time for spring break, because I think it would be phenomenal to have a grand opening right before spring break where the kids can come in and use the playground.
Yep.
So we are looking to work hard for this town. We're looking to put in every ounce of effort that we can to see this become a success. I think that our tenacity and our ferociousness to get it done. We haven't let you rest on it. So if that proves anything to anybody, we're go-getters. We're going to be out there.
Mama bears.
Yep.
Mama bears.
That's right.
I'm just glad that we were able to come to I think a reasonable conclusion and a compromise that works good for everybody. That most importantly, it puts a great facility at Granite Knolls for some very special kids. So we're really looking forward to that and really looking forward to celebrating that with all of you. So again, from the town standpoint, we're going to move forward with procuring the necessary pieces that we need so that we have it in place for March 15th, again, weather permitting, to allow for the installation to begin. And then the rest is really relying on you.
I'll second nomination.
Yeah, and I have do we have to have a resolution on this or anything at this point?
I don't think right now we do. No, I don't think we need to, because I think next year, because we're not going to go out right now, and next year it restarts the procurement policy. So let's work with the finance department and our comptroller, make sure that we get it done right. And if we have to come back early next year with a resolution for a bid or something, then we'll make sure we do it. But I think that I don't think we need to do anything formal right now.
Okay, so
I'm sorry. Just go ahead.
Go ahead.
Nope, you guys are discussing business, please.
That the town disapproves a public-private partnership proposed by the Lakeland and Yorktown SEPTA to create this sensory garden.
I agree.
In the area containing, where the putting green is now, and the planter fence enclosures around the inclusive playground at Granite Knolls Park, and also the sensory garden to be phase 2 of this, just so everybody understands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need a formal resolution to do that. Adam, do we need a formal resolution for that?
You do.
We haven't really. We're not doing anything yet, so.
Right.
Well, you know what?
There's going to be.
Adam, right now they're going to go on a wing and a prayer. I think they need something tangible that they can say, we've got this, when they go out to begin fundraising.
No, listen, I hear that. So I think that if you want something memorialized, we can put forward a resolution for the town of Yorktown to partner with Yorktown and Lakeland SEPTA to establish the inclusive playground, specifically as it relates to the fence around the playground.
Okay.
So I would just like to, if I could, and I know that I might be pushy, and again, I've probably been accused of worse.
Not you, Jamie.
No, not me. You know, I understand that the focus really has been on this enclosure or the containment area around the playground, and I'm thankful and appreciative of all of you guys for agreeing and moving forward with this. But I do really want to remind everybody of where we started with this, and that was due to the sensory garden. You know, the planters and the containment around the playground came as a offshoot to what we originally proposed. And I really do, I mean, I want to ask and push for the fact that, you know, having this sensory garden incorporated into this plan as a phase 1 and phase 2 really be what the board decides upon. Because when we go out and we speak to the public and we speak to different business owners about this project, the excitement really comes from the garden. You know, everybody's excited to do what they can and be part of the project, but the excitement comes in when we speak about the sensory garden and how it benefits our community members, and it speaks to the underserved populations.
Yes.
All right, Matt,
so-
do you just want to add the garden in your resolution?
Well, why don't we add with the goal of establishing a sensory garden? Does that suffice for you?
For me?
Yeah.
I mean,
So we'll have the resolution memorializing the partnership with the Yorktown and Lakeland SEPTA to procure the necessary material and install the fence around the inclusive playground, with the goal of a phase 2, which is the sensory garden.
And the
If
fence
it's
and
re-
planters around that, correct?
Well, yeah.
well,
Again, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Goal.
Yeah.
I don't like that word goal. I think just saying that the garden is phase 2. When you say goal to me, then that's a maybe, and I don't like that word. So
I'm not saying it's a maybe. I'm just saying that.
But that word is a maybe to me. If you just say for
my focus is the playground. We need the playground to be installed, and with
well,
the
that's
fence around the
that's the town's part of it.
That
And then the
that
second
is
part
my
of it-
priority. That is my goal. I
Got
agree
it.
with you, Jamie,
But I don't
wholeheartedly that we need to have a spring break grand opening over there. So
Totally
we can go
agree
enjoy
with
it.
you, but I
Right.
think we
I just-
also agree that the garden should be going there with it.
Mr.
just-
Slater?
Don't want to lose sight of the fact that we have to get the fence in with
Right.
the
Mr.
playground.
Slater?
That's all
Absolutely.
I'm trying to drive home.
absolutely.
Yes, Anna.
All due respect, I'm trying to, I just want you to know, like, the sponsors that I have spoken to that are willing to give us revenue for the park, I in their whole their vision is that this
Sure.
park, this playground is attached to a sensory garden. Which,
I understand that.
you know, and in all our presentations that I've sat down and I spoke with multiple Fortune 500 companies, I've introduced to them that we are at Granite Knolls putting together a playground, an adaptive playground attached to the sensory garden. You know, because that's how the discussion kept on going. It was playground, sensory garden. So I just, please, if you could, you have to keep that in mind, because if they're going to write a check, I'm not gonna be, you know, that I'm giving them false information, or, you know, they're not going to be, I'm not going to, you know, put something in front of them that just is not clear. If you understand what I'm saying, you know, I
would
need
agree
it,
with that.
I need this to be just clear, simple wording. I understand that there's going to be a lot going on, but I know when this project is done, it is going to be a quantum leap from what any other park in Westchester County has put together. And you're all involved. you can Google, you can go drive through Rybrook, has their park. I mean, there's other places that Harriman, I think, they're not equivalent. They're teeny, they're a pebble. We're going to be a massive rock, a stone, a mountain. I need you to all understand this. So I have the sponsors. I just need it to be clear to them, okay? Because I really want them to write the checks, big checks.
I'm here loud and clear. I'm rooting for you 100%.
Okay.
No problem. Adam, do you have any suggestions on wordsmithing?
Where do you go? There he is.
No, I mean,
I think if you break it down to phase 1 will be this and phase 2 will be that, the garden, I don't see a whole lot of problems here.
I mean, if you want to reread what you had, I can.
Do you want me to? I scratch this out a little bit, and kind of just what I said.
Right, I thought that's what we were going to do.
That the town board approves the public-private partnership proposed by the Yorktown and Lakeland SEPTAs to create a sensory garden in the area containing the putting green and a planter fence enclosure around the inclusive playground at Granite Knolls. Also, planters and benches will surround the sensory garden.
Motion.
Well, no, I think that it's got to be more specific. That phase 1, because again,
okay.
Phase 1 will.
We're not losing sight of it.
That's my concern, because when the playground is ready to go and we don't have a fence there, we're gonna have a problem, and that's what I don't want.
No, I think you separate both parts, Matt. Phase 1 will be the fence, the planters around
phase 1 will be the fence and fence gate and planters around the inclusive playground.
Playground, right.
Phase 2
will be the garden.
Will be the sensory garden.
Yeah.
Right.
That's very specific, and I like it.
I love it.
Motion.
Adam?
I second that motion.
Fine.
I'm sorry, Adam?
Fine.
Okay. Town attorney says it's fine. We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Well, long for Tommy's second. It's Tommy's resolution.
Tommy, are you seconding that?
I'll second it. I'll first it.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. So
you guys are amazing.
March 15th. I'm serious. March 15th.
I am on your
Once
calendar.
that temperature gets up there and Ray can come in and install those mats, we're moving. We need the fence.
I hear you.
You're gonna have to order it by probably January 15th, whatever materials.
Correct. So I'm just.
It's a 3-month delay in materials, so we're already behind by a month. So just let that be known.
Yes.
What is the temperature they can start at up there, Matt? You recall?
I'm sorry, Councilman.
What was the temperature that they can start up there with the mat?
I think it had to be. Diana was with me. What
45
was it?
degrees.
It has to be over 32 degrees.
Over 35.
Over 30.
Consistently over 35 degrees, because
Correct.
the glue won't
Adhere.
hold on the pavement. That's
Matt,
the
you're right.
problem.
Yes.
Yeah,
So that's why again we're hoping for that.
Let's pray we have a good winter with no snow.
Yes.
Is that ground temperature 35 degrees, or is that outdoor temperature?
I think it's.
We all know that ground temperature
It's
is
the ground
always hot.
temperature, because the ground temperature needs to be more than 35 degrees.
Okay.
Because again, they're gluing it down, so that's why if it's cold, it's not gonna hold.
Okay, ladies. He's gonna have you on March 15th. You're gonna be on his calendar.
You guys are gonna be up there.
Thank
hard
you.
hats and
We're ready.
And
Listen, I know you're going to do it. It's no concern about that. I just want to make sure that we get our spring break ribbon cutting with the fence in place.
Spring break grand opening. That's my goal.
I want to come up there, and I want to be so thrilled to see everything.
We're going to put flowers in a bonnet for you.
That's going to be exciting.
Exactly.
No, you can keep that. I don't wear hats.
All right.
Alice will
Seriously.
make you part of the sensory garden, Alice.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you
One
all.
last thing. Yes, I know I've pushed each and every one of you probably to the point where you're like, get this girl out of my face. And I want to thank you all for believing in us and for signing off on this. And, we won't disappoint. We're going to get it done.
Thank you
no
very
doubt
much.
in my mind.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Haters
guys.
will hate.
Happy New Year. We'll see
Happy
you
New
soon.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Bye.
New
You
Year.
all.
All right.
New Year, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Bye, Jimmy.
Happy New Year,
Happy
buddy.
New Year.
Happy New Year,
Alice,
Jim.
thank you for your service. Much appreciated. All the years. Thank you.
I'm not going to move. I'll be still here.
Looking forward to
It's
seeing
just
you.
right down the street from me.
Talk to you.
All right, so we will reconvene a public hearing on the revisions to the Section 8 Administrative Plan. We have our Section 8 Director, Sandrine Sang, with us. Sandrine, how are you?
Good. How are you?
It's great to see you. We're doing
Good
all
to
right.
see you.
Good.
Doing all
Nice
right.
to see you guys.
So this is a reconvene. As a reminder, we had began this on November 9th. We had to hold it open for 45 days.
Right.
And so we had no one at the public hearing then, but we will all open it up for comments from the public now. If there's anyone who wants to comment on the revisions to the Section 8 Administrative Plan.
I've had no one request to come on for this public hearing.
Thank you. We have not received any written comment, correct?
We received a request to get my PowerPoint, and that was about it. Diana, correct?
Right.
Yes, and we sent that to that request. We
Right.
took care of that.
So we have no written comment. We had no public comment, and we have no one signed up for public comment now. So with that being said, I think we can make a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Sandrine, can I just say something before we vote to
Yes.
approve it?
Yes, ma'am.
The changes were so minimal.
There were.
So I could understand why no one has commented, because I don't believe they were earth shattering.
No, there weren't. They were actually very positive for the
Yes.
applicant. Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All righty. So with that being said, we will entertain a motion to adopt the revisions of the Section 8 Administrative Plan dated March 1st, 2021.
So
Motion.
moved.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're going to move on to our next. Thank you, Sandrine. Happy New Year.
I think I have one more thing
Yeah, this is yours
on
too,
the
correct?
agenda. Yes.
Yep. And next we have a motion to approve the adoption of the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act, COVID-19 statutory and regulatory waivers for public housing agencies.
Motion.
So actually, what I think that's written a little bit differently than what I'm expecting. So we had the waivers; they were already approved. You guys did that last year.
Yep.
But HUD now has decided that they were all expiring for December 31st, because
So-
everything that was, most of the stuff that was in the waivers is actually now on the administrative plan. So everything is more official now and can be carried over for the future. So we don't need waivers anymore.
That
Do you
makes
want an
sense.
example?
So do you need? So what is the wording that you're looking for? An extension?
No, the waivers are expiring December 31st. So we're approving the expiration of the waivers.
Oh,
I think
okay,
it's
there we go.
down on the
Okay.
fourth paragraph somewhere there.
I understand. Yeah. So be it resolved, the town board is hereby authorizing the expiration of the waivers as required by HUD. Some of the waivers have been included in the updated administrative plan. The HCV Section 8 program is funded by the Housing Assistance Payments account maintained by the Section 8 office and funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and is at no cost to the town of Yorktown. I apologize. So the heading was not entirely accurate, but so the resolved is, so we're going to make a motion to pass a resolution which reads, be it resolved, the town board is hereby authorizing the expiration of the waivers as required by HUD. Some of the waivers have been included in the updated administrative plan. Is
That's
that
correct. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So we have a motion.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Sandrine.
Thank you.
Happy
Good night. Happy
holiday.
New Year. You too.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for all you do. Okay, so next we've got, is Dan Ciarcia with us?
He was.
Yeah. He's
We
on.
bring Dan on.
I'm here.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, guys.
Dan, have you, all right, so we were expecting 2 public hearing decisions. One as it pertains to Brookdale Street and one as it pertains to the DEP bridge on Baptist Church Road. So can you just tell me where we are with these? I thought I saw something on Baptist Church Road, but I haven't seen anything on Almeida.
Okay, Baptist Church Road, you should be all set. Actually, there was some confusion. I was just going back and forth with the engineer to make sure we had the right plans in the resolution. So I think we're ready to work on the DEP bridge project on Baptist Church Road. That resolution is good to go. I just have to do a final look at the one from Alameda. And if you want to pass over that one till, pass over till the end of the meeting, we should have a resolution that's been completed for you and checked.
Dan, have you received letters from the neighbors of that Brookdale project who have
Yes, there were letters that came in as part of the record on this.
Right.
And I guess to what extent, I think one of the issues to talk about on that one was the whole, the applicant would like to move ahead with the project based upon what can be completed sort of immediately at this time of year. The landscaping would probably be better accomplished early spring, March, April. So the applicant, for example, could get to work and do the retaining wall and some of those activities, which don't require the conditions that you would be more favorable to completing the landscaping. And I believe one of the letters touched on that. So I think that's, I think it's really the board's call, whether they want to allow this applicant to move ahead prior to completing the mitigation. And quite frankly, some of the mitigation at this point is just, cleaning the place up a little bit. There's debris all over. So I think that's the issue on that.
I've never seen an application, an applicant actually, do as much damage to the property as this person has. I don't blame the neighbors around him because I don't know how he got the right to knock down all those trees. And really, I think at some point the board needs to consider when we have an applicant who does something that's really harmful to the community, that there is a penalty rather than say don't do it again.
I don't disagree with you, Alice. I mean, but this is where we are right now. As far as penalizing people, I sort of defer that stuff to the court to deal with that aspect. I mean, for what we can do administering these permits, what we can make sure is that there's proper mitigation to address these issues. Now, there is a whole tree mitigation landscaping plan that's part of this that we just got like a week ago. So I don't know if you had seen that, but that's kind of, I'd say, key to putting this place back together. So I don't know if you want to move to that one first, I could.
Honestly, Dan, the fact that we don't have it yet, I think.
Well, you can have a resolution probably in 15, 20 minutes.
Right, but I don't, we haven't had time to review it. So I'm let's just have the brakes on it. If we don't have it, we don't have it, and we can pick it up next week.
Okay, but since it is a work session, maybe, we're having this conversation now that there are issues to be discussed and,
which is fine. Which I understand that and I acknowledge that, but I don't think I'm comfortable passing a resolution that I haven't even seen. So let's table the resolution. If you have questions that you want guidance or direction from the board, we're happy to provide it in this forum. I think that's acceptable and fine. I do think that the public hearing, I thought shed some light on the fact that while I agree with Councilwoman Roker on the frustrating part of this is that there was action taken that shouldn't have been taken, and so it's a one of those instances of ask for forgiveness rather than permission after the deed was done, and I recognize that. But from the public hearing we had, we also did hear from several neighbors who said that the steps that he took actually improved the property in some way, and I think that's kind of the that's a point that we have to also take into consideration.
Oh, absolutely. He has a wonderful Joe is his landscape person, and I'm grateful for that because he obviously understands the regulations that we have in place. But it's kind of like there may be questions, and I think he should see we should see the board's face before you just pass on this resolution for him.
And quite honestly, that's why it took us a little longer, because this whole saga began prior to my tenure. And I've been going through the records trying to piece together the whole chronology of what happened out there, and to make sure we structure a resolution that covers all the bases. It's not your plain vanilla application.
Right. And I think we all acknowledge that. It's complicated in certain aspects. It's frustrating in many aspects. But at the same time, he is before with the request. So I think that I'd like to see the conditions, Dan, that you'd like to put forward. And I'd like to, can you just go back one more time? Because I agreed with the fact that the mitigation should happen before the improvements are made.
Right.
But you were just speaking about that one point. Can you just go back?
Yeah,
to
that was actually, I guess we received an email from the applicant, and his request was, and I guess it was based upon some of the neighbors' comments requiring, the mitigation happen before he's allowed to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So as a practical matter, if that's the case, then nothing happens for the next few months. So does it make more sense to advance what he can do through the winter and perhaps put a bond in place or something to ensure that, the mitigation plan that's been presented to us is in fact implemented in a timely fashion, which I think is kind of key to the mitigation here. And, the mitigation / punitive side of this whole situation that we're trying to remedy something, a problem, but we're trying to basically do a proper job of mitigating what's already been done.
I get it.
Well, I mean, maybe the thing to do is just, have this be a work session item in the future. I guess we're working with a new board anyway, so to have a discussion, bring them up to speed on what's going on here, and then after that work session, we can come to consensus as to what conditions we want to put in there and how to best bring closure to this, this application.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's probably the best course of action at this point.
I don't want to sound like I'm hard-hearted Hannah, but it's because I'm not. It's just frustrating.
No, I agree, Alice. I mean, there should be consequences when people go beyond. I mean, he had a permit, but he went beyond what the permit contemplated.
But that's I guess part of my concern though, Dan, is what's the message that we're sending? We're basically telling people, yeah, you can get a permit, and if you go beyond the bounds of the permit, you can come back to us and say you're sorry and ask for forgiveness, and we're going to say it's okay. But then what's the point of having a permit? I mean, it just completely erodes the integrity of the permit process.
I mean, I think it's, we need to
Joe Arena is
not
on.
send that
I
message
didn't
out
realize that,
to
so I
our
apologize.
residents.
We're glad that I'm glad that he got Joe Rena. It was a very good.
Joe, my apologies
planner.
for not recognizing you earlier.
That's okay.
So, Joe, I think at this point we're not really prepared to pass a resolution for several reasons. I think the biggest one being, I don't know if we're in agreement on some of the conditions that should be included.
Okay.
Again, the problem being, and we did receive your client's correspondence articulating again that why the mitigation first wouldn't make economic sense and may delay some of the improvements to the overall community. And I get that, I do. But where you just came in, what we were saying was the problem with this whole thing though is he still went beyond the bounds of a permit. So we're just said, I'm just concerned that and again, we're not trying, I don't think anyone wants to be vindictive. No one's playing gotcha, but there's a permit process in place for a reason. And if we're not enforcing the permit process, what's the point of having one?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on it, but that's why I think so that there's some, I don't know if there's agreement yet on the conditions for us to grant the permit.
Right. The only thing that I have to offer is the idea of the bonding of that work. And, if he puts a cash bond in place, that's something you have always in your control.
Yes.
To release that.
Yes.
When the work is done. And I think it just makes sense that, from the sequence point of view, to get the major infrastructure done first and come in at the end and do the finishing touches or the landscaping and the mitigation. And then with the safety of the bond, the safety net of the bond in place, I think that protects the town to ensure that work is getting done. Otherwise, it's going to sit like that at least until April, right?
Right.
He can't do that work. He can't do the mitigation work or do any plantings until the planting season starts.
Right.
So I think that's maybe the position we'd like to take on it. And if you would consider taking a bond in its place, as I said, as that safety net.
Mr. Rodriguez, any thoughts?
Conceptually, I think that might make sense. I think your initial reaction, though, was that this should be held over regardless. So I think it'll give us some time to work through those issues and come back, with a recommendation.
No. I totally agree. I think we most definitely are holding this over. We don't even have a resolution that we've reviewed yet. So I don't think that we can take any action tonight. Mm-hmm. So let's all right. So why don't you continue to work with Dan and Adam, Joe?
Okay.
On behalf of your client, and let's see if we can come up with a suitable solution and conditions, and maybe the bond is part of the conditions to be included. So if you can just work with Dan and Adam on that, and then when we reconvene, we'll come back and see if we've made progress there.
Okay, that sounds okay to me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Very good. And I wish you and Mr. Almeida, I see he's there. Mr. Almeida, Happy New Year. Appreciate your patience on this. Thank you both.
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Thanks. Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is the board comfortable with the resolution that was circulated on Baptist Church Road?
Yeah.
I am.
Councilman Diana?
I am.
Okay. So let's see. So we have a decision regarding the wetland permit, MS4 stormwater management permit, and the tree permit submitted by New York City DEP for the bridge replacement on Baptist Church Road. I'm going to go right to the, let's see, therefore be resolved that the following plans and documents are approved subject to the below listed conditions. Stormwater pollution prevention plan prepared by NTech Engineering PC dated September 2021, a set of plans consisting of 51 sheets. Entitled Capital Project WM30 replacement of Baptist Church Road dated October 26, 2021. Be it further resolved, the permit is granted subject to the issuance of permits by the following agencies: New York City Public Design Commission, New York City Department of Environmental Protection for the SWIP, United States Army Corps of Engineers, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Be it further resolved that the wetland and stormwater permit is granted subject to the signing of the plans by the town supervisor and shall be valid for a period of 1 year from the date of this resolution, and that all work associated with the permit shall be conducted in strict compliance with the approved plans. Dan, is 1 year enough time? Because I thought their procurement policy put them actually.
Well, actually, I think they, now that you mentioned, I guess their construction schedule, I think, was
Yep.
like 2 years.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what he said.
So I don't know if you want to. I mean, we could do it as a 3-year permit. Since
I was going to suggest 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to amend that so it will be that the town and it shall be valid for a period of 3 years from the date of this resolution, and that all work associated with the permit shall be conducted in strict compliance with the approved plans. Be it further resolved that the stormwater, wetlands, and tree permit shall be automatically expire upon completion of work. Be it further the below conditions. Be it further resolved that the below conditions must be completed within 6 months of the date of this resolution, shall become null and void unless an extension is requested by the applicant in writing within said 6-month period and granted by the town board. Conditions include a construction monitoring fee in the amount of $5,000 must be submitted to the engineering department clerk. Conditions on the stormwater, wetlands, and tree permit that must be met during construction. The applicant agrees to allow periodic inspections by the town and its consultants. No additional disturbance or modification to the approved plans is permitted without prior written approval from the town engineer. Pre-construction meeting with the applicant's contractors and the staff must be held prior to the commencement of work. The entire scope of the work is shown on the engineering plans referenced herein. No additional land disturbing activity of any kind shall be permitted without the issuance of a new permit by the appropriate approval authority. No further changes to the existing site topography shall be permitted, and no protected trees shall be cut. The guidelines contained in the New York State DEC standards and specifications for erosion and sediment control latest edition shall be followed. At the end of each workday, soil stockpiles shall be covered. If not work done for more than 7 days, stockpiles shall be seeded, mulched with a silt fence around the perimeter. No soil storage outside the limit of disturbance. Road in front of the property must be kept broom clean at all times. A copy of the waste manifest for material exported from or imported to the site shall be provided to the engineering department. The applicant or the representative shall notify the engineering department prior to the backfill of any underground stormwater management practices, and the engineering inspector will confirm the required improvements have been satisfactorily completed. Conditions that must be met after project completion. The applicant or his representative shall fill out and submit a construction completion certificate to the town engineer. The engineering department will then perform a final inspection to confirm the required improvements have been satisfactorily completed. Applicant will be notified of any discrepancies from the approved plans, or if any work is not acceptable. A final site survey showing as-built conditions shall be provided to the engineering department. Provide a printed copy and in PDF format. When area is stabilized and erosion control practices have been removed, the applicant shall notify the engineering department and schedule a final inspection. The only thing, Dan, I don't see in here were the conditions that our highway superintendent requested as it pertains to the videoing of the road and ensuring that it's put back the way that they found it.
Okay, yeah, we could add that right now.
Okay.
Okay, add it right now.
Great.
There are also some resolved paragraphs that I sent you that need to be read in as well.
Okay.
Supervisor?
Yep, I hear you. Thank you. Did you just send them?
Yes, I did.
I don't have it then. All I have is the nope. I haven't received it. What were they? Adam?
I just resent it.
Tell us what they were so we can just add them, and but at least we will know what they are.
It's the seeker paragraph.
Oh. Yep.
I just got an email that's not that.
Was that the draft
Here
that
it
I
is.
sent you, Adam?
Also add, here it is. Whereas the proposed action has been determined to be an unlisted action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the applicant has developed a tree mitigation plan pursuant to Chapter 270 of the Town Code, and whereas the Town Board has considered all reasonably related long-term, short-term, direct, indirect, and cumulative environmental effects associated with the proposed action, including other simultaneous or subsequent actions, and determined that the action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. And let's see. Be further resolved, the proposed action has. Oh, I think that was the same one. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Rodriguez?
No, not for me.
Okay. Mr. Ciarcia, you're good?
I'm good. We'll just add that to the final version that we forward to the clerk. So if you could send that to me, Adam, to make sure we're all on the same page.
Sure.
Okay. That being said, do we have a motion from the Town Board?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Can I ask Dan a question? Dan, do you have Will going out doing your inspections?
Yeah, Will's been he's been doing most of the field work.
Okay.
And I've been getting out to a couple of them, but I'm kind of tethered to my desk these days,
Sure.
trying to move the paper through.
No, I just wanted to make sure somebody's going out.
Will's been running around checking jobs.
Oh, great.
Okay. All right. Next, thank you, Dan.
All right.
I think we have John Tegeter. I thought I saw him pop in. There he is. Evening, John.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, John.
Good evening, John.
Hey, Alice. Hey, guys. Hey, Tom. Ed.
All right.
Everybody.
We're doing good. So now we have a decision on the agenda to consider the adoption of a proposed local law amending Chapter 300 of the Code of the Town of Yorktown by replacing Article 31 entitled Plan, Design, District Overlay Zones. Any discussion on this before we begin?
Nope.
I think we've discussed this 9 ways to Sunday.
All right. So we have a.
Can I apologize?
I'm sorry?
I need to apologize. I understand there was someone who felt that I disrespected seniors in my last comments with regard to this district. And you know me, that's obviously not something that I would ever do.
No.
And so if anybody were hurt by that, let me explain what I meant to say. What I talked about mostly was the fact that the town of Yorktown needed to get in more younger people and more younger families. When companies think about relocating to a different area, one of the first things they do is look at demographics. And they like to look at demographics, and the age group they look at are roughly 25 to 45. That's all I was saying. I was saying that with the fact that there will be rentals, this will give us more diverse housing than we have right now. There are a lot of young people that can't afford to buy a home right now in Yorktown. So that's what I was trying to say. If I said something, if I made an error, I apologize.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So we have a resolution to adopt lead agency, negative declaration, and Secra for amending Chapter 300 to adopt the amended Plan Design District overlay zones and rezone portions of the zoning map.
So moved.
Second.
Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We now have a proposed resolution for a proposed local law number 11 of 2021 to amend Chapter 300 to adopt the amended Plan Design District overlay zones and rezone portions of the zoning map. I think this is a roll call vote from the clerk, but I'll save my comments for after the vote.
Okay. Supervisor Slater,
Aye.
Councilman Diana,
Aye.
Councilman Lachterman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Roker,
Aye.
and Councilman Mattel is absent.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So the motion passes, the law is adopted. I did want to just make a few comments if I could. I really think this is an exciting night for the future of Yorktown. And I want to thank my colleagues on the town board, our planning department, our legal department, and all of our consultants who worked diligently on this proposal. Everyone knows that Yorktown's commercial tax base has suffered over the years. Time and again, residents have pointed to empty storefronts and dilapidated buildings while demanding government take action to address it. These properties have become chronic eyesores for our town and have impacted neighboring property values. Even worse, they represent a lost opportunity to ease the burden on Yorktown property taxpayers. Because of our lack of commercial tax base, Yorktown residential property taxpayers bear a larger share of the local property tax burden than many other towns in Westchester County. The action we're taking tonight to pass these overlay districts is the most important thing we can do to correct that. When I became supervisor, I pledged to protect residential property taxpayers and to find a way for local government to respond to the blight and the deterioration of our hamlets and our business districts. I'm proud that we succeeded in cutting property taxes for the first time in 27 years. That's a huge kudos to the town board. But to continue easing the burden on homeowners, we need to utilize tools that usher in smart growth, which is exactly what the overlay district does. Within my first 6 weeks in office, I met with the Westchester Business Council about the state of our business hamlets, the chronic blight of neglected properties, and ongoing deterioration of Yorktown's commercial tax base. The Westchester Business Council presented this idea of overlay districts as a solution to these problems, a solution that the town's comprehensive plan identified a decade ago. So now here we are, nearly 2 years after that meeting, having fully vetted the two proposed overlay districts. We assured the residents that we would take our time, that we would bring in experts, and create a transparent process that gives the public a voice in the future of our town. And I believe we've been true to our word. To be clear, the action tonight does not approve any potential project. There will be a separate and public review as dictated by the law for any application that comes forward. As our consultants explained, and again, we brought in, I think, some of the best that we could find who had firsthand experience in overlay districts. In their experience, not every proposal comes to fruition. Additionally, as the law is written, it protects and ensures all of the pre-existing environmental protection laws, historical preservation laws, and the role of the planning board remain in place. I want to thank everyone who provided input on this proposal over the course of the last 18 months. We have listened. We have made adjustments that we thought made sense for our community. We held a public hearing earlier this month and received helpful feedback. Every comment was taken into consideration, such as those that focused on sustainability and renewable energy. Upon further investigation, a one-size-fits-all approach may not be the best, but I think it's imperative that any application that comes forward incorporates renewable energy and sustainability practices. I also want to thank the commercial property owners that we met with at the end of September. These are the people who know the challenges our local businesses are facing and understand the importance of economic vitality for our community. They all were passionately in support of the overlay proposal because they recognize that it's the start of a new chapter for our great town. Ultimately, from all the feedback we have received, it's abundantly clear that standing still is not an option, and moving this legislation forward is imperative. During the countless COVID-19 updates for the last 18 months, I proudly declare that Yorktown leads from the front, and the passage of this legislation once again shines a light on our town as a model community, forward-thinking, and finding innovative ways to manage a changing world. I once again want to thank everyone involved in this process, including Councilwoman Alice Roker, who's been a great, great partner. We may not have agreed on everything, right, Councilwoman?
That's right. We didn't.
But we did work together to find common ground that we believe will benefit we believe will benefit Yorktown both today, but more importantly, tomorrow. And also to Councilman Diana and Councilman Lachterman, bringing the perspective of small business owners to the table and into the conversation was equally as crucial and critical in helping us craft this policy. Lastly, I really want to thank the residents of Yorktown for engaging in this process and bringing great ideas forward. And we heard many of them. We all want our community to succeed, and we will do so without compromising the core values of Yorktown. And I truly believe we have put this town on a forward trajectory, and I am so excited for the next chapter. Thank you. Any other comments from the town board?
Yeah, what I said the last time was that we didn't have any other choice but to do something like this legislation. You know, the old saying that if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. And I think that many other town boards prior have done things that were good. But you know what? We're in an economy that's unlike a lot of other economies that we've seen. And if anyone has read any of the real estate papers over the last year, then they know about all the other communities that proposed this similar legislation.
Yeah.
But they were farther along than we were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to say that there were times we didn't agree was right. We didn't agree at times, but you know what? We stayed true to our oath of office, which was that we had to do what was best for the town of Yorktown. Mm-hmm. And I think we've done it. And again, we acknowledge that maybe this isn't 100% the best thing, but you know what? We'll get experience as the planning board moves forward. And if there are tweaks to be made, we can amend the law, just as we do with any other law. But you know, to say no, to just say no from the outset was not something for me to do.
Well, I thank you for that, Councilwoman Roker. And again, thank you truly for your partnership. It's been very, very helpful. It's been insightful. It's been great. Councilman Diana and Councilman Lachterman, your help as well, getting this across the finish line. I think it's really important for the future of our community.
And we looked, you know, I'm going to speak for myself, but, you know, I looked and listened to what people had to say at the public hearings and, you know, took my time in going over the words that they had to say and the letters that they wrote. Mm-hmm. And I just think it is a positive thing for the community. And once again, Yorktown is leading from the front and we're trying to get things done. And that's the best the body can do at this point in time.
Absolutely.
And you know, I sort of, you know, the small business point of view, being on the Chamber of Commerce board, mm-hmm. I've been able to listen in on a few of their meetings and their discussions. And, you know, I told them I don't want to comment on it. I don't want to be a part of that, but I wanted to see where their discussion had gone. They had many in-depth conversations between Aaron Fox, Sergio Esposito, Michael Grace, you know, and other members of the board who have a very good knowledge of Yorktown and the Yorktown businesses. I am especially, though, happy, Supervisor Slater, that you brought up the point that, you know, a lot of people have conflated when you read the letters, as I did as well, probably. You could have spoken probably for all of us on that. You know, as you read the letters, you see that there's a disconnect into what we passed today and what some people are portraying it to be. And it's unfortunate because some of those people actually know exactly what the differential is. So, I do want to recommend to anyone that has a question, that's what your elected officials are for. If you have a question, you want an answer, come, track us down. You can utilize town hall, the supervisor's office. But it's real important to realize that this is for a very, very broad look at Yorktown and the districts that we looked at. And this is nothing about any particular piece of property. As our supervisor pointed out, our experts also said that many projects that start off at the starting gate do not cross the finish line. So let's see where this goes. And my personal hopes is that it really puts Yorktown at the forefront of having that great blend of commercial with affordable rentals and housing where our kids can move back into the area and not have to buy a house and be able to save money towards that as they grow their family.
Can I just thank John Tegeter and Robin?
I was just about to, please.
Because these two were, well, John, I probably, he lost them here with fractured phone calls for me. But I just really, truly want to thank both of you for the help you've given me in terms of understanding what we were doing and how to do it, and for answering all the probably foolish questions I had out of you two over the last year or so.
Alice, I couldn't agree with you more. A big round of applause goes to John and Robin. Incredible work, dedication, commitment, understanding the importance of getting this done, and helping guiding us there. Because to your point, the two of us kept bombarding them with questions.
Not just the two of you, Matt.
Right. Yeah. The whole board was bombarding them with questions and trying to understand and get our arms around it and make sure that we were, sometimes you had to check in and make sure that we weren't crazy thinking that we were doing something, completely out in left field. But John, thank you so much for your guidance and your leadership on this. It was a labor of love, but I think that we got to the end result that we wanted to.
Appreciate it very much. It was definitely our pleasure to work on it, and also with all of you guys on it. So thank you.
Very good. With that, we have two resolutions. We're going to authorize the town clerk to advertise a bid for the Parks and Recreation Department for their brochures. And we're also going to authorize the supervisor to execute the ALS contract with Empress Ambulance for the provision of the advanced life support services in the town. So motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And if there's no other business before the board, again, a big thank you to Councilwoman Alice Roker. Congratulations on your next chapter. We're looking forward to your continued service, but appreciate all you've done and for the town, both again as your service here as town clerk and town councilwoman as your term comes to an end. We genuinely all appreciate your friendship, your partnership, and your mentorship. And I also just want to wish a very happy new year to everyone in the town of Yorktown. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we're looking forward to an exciting 2022.
Yep.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Happy New Year, everybody.
And Alice, we do need a motion. I think it should be Alice's. She might want to stay on the board for another hour or two.
No, motion.
We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye. Good night, everyone, and happy New Year.
Good luck.
Good night. Happy New Year, all.
Thank you. Happy New Year.